compelling detective story, a cloak and dagger action, and a romantic drama, all these stories were taken from real life. The history of Kazakhstan is inseparable from the world history. Reflections on history, our version.
Kasym Khan's bright path. All Chingis Khan's successes throughout Turkestan and Korasan will be yours, Lord. Muhammed Sheibani was predicted by court astronomers. Eastern sages made a reservation internationally nodding towards the sky. The creation of the greatest powers could interfere with the Kazakh sultans, especially your brother, Kasym. Give me the clerk, Muhammad urgently demanded. Bright-faced like a ray of sun, the heir to the crown and throne of Chingis Khan ibn Dasht-i-Kipchak, Kasym. After an eloquent appeal, there was a request followed in the letter. The descendants of Chingis Khan will be able to return to their former glory if you give us 6,000 of your soldiers.
Наши казахские ханы и султаны, они шли.
Our Kazakh Khans and Sultans made advances and helped the Sheibanis fight for their power.
В борьбе за их власть.
Kasym wasn't fooled by the intentions of Muhammad. A cousin would forget about the vows of friendship for his own benefit. But bad peace is always better than good quarrel. Always seeing a step forward, it's difficult, but it's the bright path of Kasym Khan. Strong personalities were usually formed in nomadic tribe conditions, where people were free. There is a lot of information about Kasym Khan. It is written that there was about 1 million Kazakh people gathered around him. For a short period, he was able to expand the territory of Kazakhstan almost to the limits that we have today. Chapter 1: Oaths and Promises. The personification of the god of war since the time of the Scythians, the Kazakh considered the sword as the Batir's storage for his soul, and it had special sacred properties. In order to be proficient with the sword, was it necessary to have great strength? Well, first, it was always worn by someone who knew the art of fighting. It is necessary. Even the smallest knife became an effective weapon after good training. Kasym Khan wielded a sword superbly, and he was a successful military leader, but he was accused of being too peaceful. Son of Janibek, one of the founders of the Kazakh Khanate, just thought that things conquered by the sword could be held down not only by force of arms. Kasym jumped up, stood in front of his mother on one knee, took his sword and pressed it to his forehead. "I swear to you, mother," he cried, "I swear to you, my sword not to remove the first of its sheath against my brothers, Muhammad and Sheibani Sultan Mahmud." Brutal century, brutal hearts, a double-edged oath. Sisters Jakan and Akozi forced their sons to fulfill an oath in the hope that the hostility between their husbands, Abulkair Khan and Janibek, doesn't affect the children. Muhammad and Kasym, was it the dramatic version of Ilyas Yassin Berlin or a real event? Indirectly, the version of the writer confirmed the story. The future collector of the Kazakh lands really saved the brothers from death more than once. The very oath is not found in any other medieval manuscripts. How many of them have not told us their secrets? We do not know the Indian sources, which are relevant to these developments. India was far away, although trading with India and Afghanistan and Persia was normal. I think in this country there must be sources that were mentioned about in these times regarding Kasym Khan. For example, a letter from Muhammad to Kasym requesting military assistance is mentioned in the Persian collection. It was deciphered recently, and many of its pages are devoted to the history of the Kazakh Khanate and Kasym in particular. The governor of the Kazakh Khanate, Kasym, is the third son of Janibek, the founder of the Kazakh statehood, the Kare and Janibek Khanate. He long served as the sultan when his brother Burunduk ruled. About Kare's son, Burunduk Khan, only a little bit of data survived, but Kasym is mentioned even by his equals, the famous sultan, the leader of the cavalry, and its Sheibani named book praising the exploit of his eternal rivals. There are a lot of sources which are devoted to Muhammed Sheibani Khan, Fatnameh, Zafarnameh, and there are a lot of sources that mention this Khan and that have a lot of information about the history of the Kazakh Khanate. According to these sources, the authority of the Sultan Kasym was higher than that of Burunduk Khan. The short-sighted soldier put the power of the state in dependence on the conquest of the territories in the neighbouring Khanates. All his life, Burunduk Khan did not get down from the horse, and he demanded the same from everyone, forgetting that people needed to feed the cattle, support their families, and enjoy life. The Kazakhs were always defeated in the fight against the Uzbeks when the Burunduk Khan ruled. It was quite a hard time. And in the course of the conflicts, there was a loss of territory and people. In other words, it was a period of serious political instability. Kasym did not see the future in constant wars. He thought they'd lead to deterioration. The regular army had to deal with the protection of borders and the conquest of new territories, but he did not even try to overthrow Burunduk Khan from the steppe throne. He believed in monocracy. Chapter 2. Between War and Peace. The index of social status, leather, silver, stones, ornaments, mostly filled with sacred enchantments, and the belt served for numerous weapon fastenings. Here were hanging daggers, sabres. It is the hanging belt. Everything depended on the waist. I snagged the hook, and this part I could just hang on my belt. They say he was slender, with a dark complexion, with beautiful almond-shaped eyes. Since he was 15, Kasym had been winning often competitions. Dressing, Kasym tied a Damascus dagger under his tunic, which usually hung on his belt, making sure that the knife does not stick out from under the clothes. He went to the Khan. Burunduk held out his hand. Real Batirs make tight friendships after clashes. What would you advise, my Sultan? Fight or make peace with Muhammed Sheibani? The battle for the throne of Dasht-i-Kipchak between Sheibanids and the Kazakh Khanate lasted a long time. Victory and defeat fell on the shape of two warring parties. According to Kasym, it was too late for Burunduk Khan's decision to live in peace. This endless war, which lasted nearly 20 years in the late 15th century, the Timurids invited mercenaries. Among the mercenaries was Muhammed Sheibani. In a short time, Muhammed Sheibani, a cousin of Kasym, firmly entrenched in Central Asia and casted a glance on the Kazakh lands. Even the successional marriages did not help. As soon as the weddings died down, the sound of weapons could be heard in the steppe again. In the winter of 1510, next, the fourth largest campaign, Kasym's brothers' troops attacked Kasym Ulus and suffered crushing defeats. At the beginning of the 16th century, the Kazakh Khans ousted the Uzbek nomads from Kazakhstan. They went to the south. Sultan Kasym's name thundered across the steppes, and Khan, of course, did not like it. His power was already so great that no one even thought about Burunduk Khan, but Kasym did not want to be around, because being around and not complying with due respect would mean that he objected to Khan, and so he tried to stay away. Chapter 3. Fate and Power. Only noble people could afford such armor. It was being passed from generation to generation. Such technology in ancient times was called to put on a nail. Ends of each separate ring fastened a rivet. They used double rings for special strength sometimes. As for the steppe armor, it has complete freedom of action. Thus, a warrior is not burdened, no heavy arms on it, which are all held together, fastened by heavy steel armor. Kasym thought that the best armor and protection of the warrior is his ability to see beyond the competitors. Even the strongest chainmail has vulnerabilities. Burunduk Khan met Sultan Kasym on the edge of his village. The Khan sat like a lump of granite on a giant black stallion, and behind the horses, 4 of the Khan's sons, like stone idols. They were all from head to foot encased in armor. Alloy armor covered their breasts, hands and feet wrapped with chainmail. Burunduk Khan was not afraid of death. He spent all of his life in battles and fights. Now he lost. According to one legend, Khan attacked his own villages, which had taken his nomadic place. People started resenting, and Burunduk Khan decided to leave his homeland forever. Is it true or not? Manuscript history keeps silent. He was expelled from the steppes as a result of domestic political doubts. Even though they were relatives, after that the political power of the family finally went to the Janibek's line. All Kazakh Khans came from the Janibek line. There was a new Khan raised on the white rug, Kasym. He was able to shift Burunduk Khan, but he came to power in an honest way. Janibek's son kept his vow to his mother. His cousin did not die from his hands. The Shah of Iran brutally cracked down on Sheibani Khan. He made an ornamental cup from his skull. According to some reports, Kasym Khan tried to save Muhammad but failed. This is how historians talked about this. His suicide cup already overflowed over the edge. The bird of happiness flew away off his vertex. His sharp dagger got blunt, losing its former sharpness. How much he made others to drink from the cup of death, as much as himself tasted. Epilogue: The Enchanted Sword. No one else but Kasym could live up to Juchi Khan's name, the Lord of Dasht-i-Kipchak. Medieval historians do not skimp on compliments to a Kazakh prince. Kasym Khan is the successor of Kare and Janibek's empire, above all, the founders of the Kazakh Khanate. But I think he is the successor of the overall Chingis Khan's empire. This is no accident. He went down in history as a collector of all the Kazakh lands. In a short time, Kasym Khan managed to take control of vast territories to create a new set of laws, the regular army, to establish diplomatic relations with many countries. It was the golden time of the Kazakh Khanate. This is why he has remained as the great Khan in our history. Russian, Persian and Iranian manuscripts are full of references to Kasym Khan and his state, and due to him, Europe wrote for the first time about the Kazakhs as of a separate ethnic group by Austrian diplomat Sigismund von Herberstein. Herberstein is not a scientist. You can tell that by his book's name, which is very dodgy. But there is a description of the Kazakhs in his books, which makes it so precious to us. His way didn't form easily. There were victories and defeats again, but there was no feud within the Kazakh state itself. Scratching the gap in the dam in the power of one person, the century-old wood became ignited even by a child. And how many people will I need to return the river back to its channel or put out the fire? We must preserve the unity as if enchanted sword, my people. This is what, according to the legend, said Kasym Khan. It is very hard to fight with a sword like this in hand. If you continuously hit the stone, even that will become blunt. You do not waste all of the time on the enemy's blood. It would cut right and guilty in blinding. Yes, it is not given to everyone to enjoy this sword, but the one who owns it honestly will stand against any enemy.